Hey kids, what's going on? Alex here. Well, today's an exciting video. We're finally going to get started on the song that we're going to make together. I know I promised it in past videos and we're finally here. We finally got through the basics. I should remind you though, if you have any questions about the basics, definitely get a hold of me. Email me, leave comments below, whatever you got to do. You can visit my website, alexvaan.com. And I will get back to you. I'll try my best to help you out. Okay, so in this video, we are going to create this pad right here. As you can see, I've already made it and we'll remake it and we'll go through the various different ways that you can create a MIDI pad. Okay, so sit tight, buckle up, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I might do is probably delete that. And you'll notice here that I've already gone and created some MIDI as it goes with recording these videos. I don't want to bring you through the painstaking process of me making each note. That would just be painful and tedious for you and not helpful really at all. So, well, let's talk about the different ways. Well, let me explain what a pad is to you first. It's kind of hard to explain, actually. A pad is just a droning sound that goes throughout your song or a section of your song. It could be chords, it could be sounds, it could honestly be white noise. Doesn't matter. If it kind of creates this soundscape, almost like a warm blanket behind your song, that's what a pad is. So let's listen to what I've done here. Okay, so as you can see, I've set my tempo, and again, there's two ways you can do that. You can, well, actually, I guess three. You can click here and just drag up and down to set whatever tempo you want. You can double click and type in a tempo, or you can press Control Option and tap the space bar, just like that. Okay, and that's called a tap tempo. So I want it back at 80. 80 might be slow, but with MIDI, you can kind of change it later. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect the sound. With recorded audio, it stretches and shrinks the audio, and it kind of makes a difference. But in this case, I think I'll just set it roughly at 80, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay, so let me delete this. So if you're looking to record a pad, you might have two of the tracks that Bitwig auto creates for you right here. If you don't, click the plus sign. Okay, and now in this case, if you don't know what sound you're gonna use yet, that's fine. There's a couple ways you can find that sound. The first, I would suggest hitting caps lock on your keyboard, because that means now you're telling Bitwig that you want to use your computer keyboard as a MIDI keyboard, and that's handy just because now you can hit one key. You can hit one key and listen to the sound that it makes. I'm going to go over to presets, okay, right here, and go down and choose, let's see, polysynth. That's a good instrument that Bitwig gives you. And I already went through a bunch of these, but you can sort of cycle through them on your own and listen to them all and decide for yourself what you like. I think, where is it? The Tolka Rhodes. You know what? Turn caps lock off. Go here. Oh, maybe it wasn't. It was the sampler. Okay. Click the Tolka Rhodes. Caps lock back on. And now you can see as I touch the keys on my keyboard, it makes a sound. So if you are going through a bunch of sounds, let's go through this again. If you were trying to find a sound that you want to use from a preset, you would go to the preset pages and you would choose what instrument you want to use. In this case, I'm using the sampler, or you could use the organ, the polysynth, the FM4, whatever else you have, even Massive and Serum and stuff like that. All their presets are going to show up here. And then you can just start kind of going through them. Well, I don't want that one, but this is nice. So I'm going to choose the Tolka Rhodes. And I mean, I shouldn't even have to explain why I chose the Rhodes. The Fender Rhodes keyboard has kind of been the unsung hero ever since it gained popularity in the 70s. Once you recognize the sound of it, you'll hear it everywhere. It's been in music ever since it came out, and I just love it. And you'll get to recognize the sound, and I promise you'll love it too. Well, I shouldn't promise that, but you'll see what I mean. Okay, so now there's two real ways that you can enter the MIDI into here, because of course this isn't going to do anything unless we hit tell it which notes to play. So the first way is you can just add notes in what's called the piano roll, and I'll show that to you now. Double click here to create an empty MIDI region is what it's called. Double click the empty MIDI region, bring this up, and now this is what's called the piano roll. Some people also call it the MIDI editor. I like piano roll because they named it that after some of the old player pianos. I don't know if you've ever seen one. They're like this upright piano, and you used to load these drums in it, and these drums had holes on it, and air would blow through these holes. So depending where the hole was placed on the drum, as it spun around inside the piano, it would play different keys, and that's how you get those self-playing pianos. And I think that's just kind of a cool retro way to call something that's so digital now, is the piano roll. Of course, you have your piano here, and this can be thought of as that drum just unrolled. And so that's why I just think it's neat to call it the piano roll. So of course you can hit, 3, and turn on the pencil tool, and then you can draw in notes like that. Now anybody can do that, and you can sit here for as long as you want and make whatever sounds you want to do. I'm not going to do that today because that's easy enough, and it doesn't teach you anything about quantizing and stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to perform it with my MIDI keyboard, which is the other way that you can input MIDI data, is performance. Now, whether you use an actual MIDI keyboard that's plugged into your computer, or you use your computer keyboard itself by pressing caps lock, it doesn't matter. It's still considered a performance. Okay, so I've got my sounds. Let me touch my keyboard. Yep, the keyboard's working. I've set my tempo. And there's one last consideration, if you can remember back to one of the earlier videos about when you record MIDI. I press Command comma, or I press the Bitwig sign, and I go to settings, and it's all to do with this guy. Remember this beautiful thing right here? Okay, if I'm gonna perform, I want this set a little higher. And the reason I want that set higher is, because I don't want a delay. So let's hear now. Yeah, that's much more responsive to my playing. Okay, so we got our keyboard set up. We have our instrument chosen. If this isn't red, if it's called record arm, you need to arm it. And this is telling Bitwig that this is the track that you're going to perform on. Because what if you had 20 different tracks and you wanted to perform on even a couple of them, or even just one of them? You got to tell Bitwig which track is it that I'm going to record on. I only have one track, but I still have to tell it this is the track. Okay, and then you come up here and press the record button, but you notice it hasn't actually started recording yet, and that's fine. This is just telling Bitwig, or I guess it's really just telling the musicians that might be performing that you are ready when they are. And so as soon as you hit spacebar or play, it's going to count in 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then start recording. Okay, so let's see, let me zoom out here. And remember to zoom in and out, Control Option, and scroll up or down on your mouse pad or mouse wheel. I'm going to extend this so that it is 4 bars long. Okay, so pay attention to this blue play sign. That's where I'm just going to start recording. If I had accidentally clicked here, if I had accidentally clicked there and then I hit record, it's going to start recording right here, and that's frustrating. So just make sure you click back there at the beginning, okay? Or you can hit stop a couple times and it'll jump back. Okay, I'm going to perform this thing now. Okay, So you can see there's obviously some gaps in there. I didn't nail the timing. Let's double click it. And let's plus Shift Tab, bring up full screen editing. Okay, so now you can see inside my piano roll, I didn't quite nail that performance. If I zoom in here, you can see these notes, I played them a little bit early. I wanted them to start on the first beat of the second bar, and I came in a little bit early. And also, I ended these notes a little bit too early. I wanted them to go right to the end of the first bar. So that's no problem. I can do a couple things here. I can press Command A for all, and that selects all the notes. And I can press Q, and you can see they all jump to the right timing. That's called quantizing. Okay, let me undo that again. I press Q. Oh, let me zoom in even. If I press Q, boom, it just jumps it all to the right timing. And there's a love-hate relationship that I have with quantizing. I feel like some things you shouldn't quantize at all, but this is one of them. And I want it all to come in at the same time and sound proper. Okay, so if you want the quantize options, you can press Alt or Option, depending if you're a Mac or PC, and Q. Okay, and it brings this up. So now I can tell it, what grid do I want to quantize to? Let me exit this. See these lines? That's my grid. And so if I hit Q, well, I already did hit Q. Let me undo it. It's basically just going to take each note and move it to the nearest grid line. Okay. Now, if I go into these options and I choose eighth note, quarter note, or half note, it's going to basically remove some of these lines, like this one, for example, and even that one. And then it changes how it quantizes, because now this note will be closer to a different line. Well, not in this case, because this is proper. But if the note was like, if the note was over here or something, then it's like right there. Then it's not, the nearest line that it would be is this one, and it's going to jump it all the way to there. Okay. All right. If you don't like that sound, by the way, every time I touch a note, it makes that sound. Just click this, turn it off. See? And I'm going to leave it like that right now. Okay. So Command A and Q. All right. That takes care of when the notes start, doesn't take care of when the notes end. Quantize, that's not the quantize's job. It does not edit the length of the notes. Okay. What we have to do instead is highlight this section of notes just by making a box around it. You don't have to highlight all of them. You can just make like a little box around them and drag them till once you get this bracket, click and drag it to the end. You can zoom in and trim that up. Oh, sorry. And trim that up. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and fix this now. I'm basically just going to do that with all these notes, and I'm going to save you the pain of having to watch that. Okay. Okay. So as you can see, all I did was kind of fix up this MIDI. I'm going to press Shift Tab, get out of full screen editing, and let's have a listen. Okay, so you notice I have a click track in there, and that's because I just clicked this button. After I set my tempo, and I probably should have told you this earlier, you have to click the little metronome. That's a picture of a little metronome, a little piezo metronome that piano players will be used to seeing. And basically, you wind it up with a little spring, and it has a counterweight, and it ticks back and forth depending on where you set that weight, and that's why it's a little picture of a triangle with a line coming out of it. Okay, it's not just like a random little symbol that Bitwig decided was going to mean metronome. Like that's an actual picture of a metronome. So if you want it on, you just click it and it goes blue and you have it. If you don't want it, you turn it off and it's gone. Okay? Okay, so let's talk about editing this a little bit more. Okay, Shift Tab. Now there's a bunch of things that I can do here. One thing is the velocity, and that's how hard did I hit these keys when I was playing. My MIDI keyboard is touch sensitive, and so it's going to record how hard I'm hitting those keys when I play. And that's a really handy feature, because if you were to record like a real piano piece, the right hand usually hits harder than the left hand, because the right hand's generally the MIDI, the melody, sorry. And so these are going to be a lot higher than the left hand. But in this case, that's not necessarily important. And when you play on your laptop keyboard by pressing caps lock, these are all going to be at the same, because you're the same height. Your laptop keyboard is not touch sensitive, and that's okay too. You can go in and edit it after. And if you draw in the notes, let me see, if I press 3 to get up my pencil and I draw in a note, if I haven't let go of my mouse button yet, see, I'm still dragging the length left and right, and if I go up and down, it changes the velocity. So that's something to remember if you're going to draw in MIDI, is you can set the length by going left and right, and if you want it to play softer, you just drag it down and see, the note colors even change to show you that. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Okay, so say I want all of these at the same height. Well, that's easy. Command A to select them all. Find the lowest one, grab it, and just slam it to the top. And now they're all going to sound the same. Yeah, all right. So, and that you bring up this editor simply by pressing the velocity editor, okay? And you can hide it that same way. So now this one's interesting. If you turn this guy on, this is actually the pitch of the note. And so let me show you something here. If I create a dot there just by clicking, and create a dot here by clicking, I can grab this dot and move it up even, let's see, let's go up 12 semitones, because that's an entire octave. All right, let's hear. Did you hear that? Maybe I'll get rid of this, so it's a little more obvious. That's pretty groovy. I'm sure you can think of a million things that you can do that with, but it's not often you get to automate or edit the pitch of MIDI notes just like that. And that's one thing I really like about Bitwig, is that you can see the note behind it, and then you can go and edit this line. Okay. Now, if you want to edit the MIDI note, you have to turn this off. All right, because otherwise I can't grab it. So let's have a quick talk about the different tools that you have. If I press 3, there's my pencil, and I can draw in notes and double click to get rid of them. Okay. If I press 5, that's my knife tool, and you'll see as I go over a MIDI note, I can cut it, and that way I can go and change the length of it. Makes 2 notes out of 1. I didn't want that, so I'm just going to press Command Z. And those are really handy to have, especially when they're assigned to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1 is this, what I'm using now. 2 is my selector tool. 3 is the pencil. 4 is the eraser, so I can just erase notes by clicking on them. And 5 is the cutting tool. But what's neat about it is now out here, it's still my multi-tool, but in here, it'll be, say I have my pencil, so I'm editing MIDI with the pencil tool in here, but then I come out here and I want to just move this. Well, you'll notice the icon changed. It's not the pencil tool. If I come back in here, it's the pencil tool again. So it actually remembers where you selected the tool and reverts back for you, which is really nice. Another cool thing, if I press 1 again, go back to this. If I just want to create a quick note and return back to this multi-tool cursor, I could press 3, create the note, then press 1 and come back. Or I can just hold 3, make the note, let go of 3, and it goes back. Do you see that? So these are just little tiny features of Bitwig that are definitely going to speed up the editing process, especially if you don't have a MIDI keyboard and you have to go through the painstaking process of drawing in all the notes. Like, oh, I want an A minor, so you got to draw in an A, a C, and an E, and that's pretty painful. One other thing that you'll notice if you do this is that if I draw in a note, say this long, the next note I draw will be that same length and that same intensity. So if you're going to draw a bunch of the same notes, well, Bitwig's taking care of that for you. It remembers how long and how intense, or how, like, the height of velocity that you created a note, and now no matter where I create a note, it's going to carry those properties. Okay. Another thing that's definitely worth noting is you'll notice that if I zoom out here, look at that. Why do I need to see all those notes? If I'm just going to edit and I'm not changing the pitch of any notes or where they are, I might just want to edit the left and right or the timing of each note. No chance do I want to be looking at the other, 70 some odd keys that I'm not playing. Okay, so just hit fold and there we go. Fold just gets rid of any of the data that you, or any of the notes that you're not playing. It's much easier to edit like that. And then in doing that, you can just leave the editor down here and you don't really need to go full screen. You'll notice with drum kits, it'll actually just display all the parts of the drum kit in fold mode, and that's super handy. Okay, so I really like the sound of this. My intention with this, with making this song with you guys, was to just make like a really easy song, not even more than 1 or 2 chords. But I was preparing for this video and I started playing it and I found the Rhodes sound, and then like anybody that hears a Rhodes keyboard, they're like, oh man, I'm in love, right? And so I created this 4-bar loop, and I think we can go actually pretty far with this. I was gonna make the next video about adding drums to it, but then when I was preparing for this and after I did this chord progression, I picked up my guitar and some cool stuff were coming out of that. So I think in this song, why don't we go from what we just did, the pad, to creating or recording some guitar on top of it. And I think you'll like what I'm about to do. Okay, and then we'll go to drums. It doesn't matter which way you go. If you write a pad, or you start with drums, or you start with guitar, it doesn't matter. Just get the melody that you hear in your head into Bitwig and then just build it from there. Okay, in this case, I just decided that we're going to start with a pad, but there's no real reason or need to always start with a pad. Okay, all right. Also, if you remember from the first video, I hid these screens by pressing Option B for browser, I for info, because we don't need to see them right now. Well, I do now because I'm going to put that in front of your face. And so when you're about to record or create a song, sometimes it's nice to just hide these screens, and that way you get a nice big full screen here. Okay. All right, guys, in the next video, guitar instead of drums. I hope that doesn't upset any of the drummers out there. I don't think it will. And remember, the Fender Rhodes Piano Man, check it out. You'll hear it in everything. And I think it'll inspire you, actually, in a way that the spirit from the I don't know where I'm going with that. Never mind that part. You'll love the sound of it. Play around with it. Tell me what you like, what you don't like. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section, or email me, for example. Or you can visit my website, alexvaan.com, VAAN.com. And please subscribe. I would love for you to do that. And okay, I'll catch you in the next video, and we're going to play some guitar. All right.